Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends. Thanks as always for tuning in today. Erin Bradley here, and I'm excited today to talk to you about the profound power of reflection as it relates to goal setting and accomplishing the goals that you set out to achieve. So, if you're new to the podcast or to any of my teaching, then you may not know this, but if you've been around for some time, you know that as we approach the fourth quarter of the year, I start to geek out on all things business planning. And the reason that I get so excited about this is because, as some of you may know, the early years for me as a 100% commission self-employed person were basically a hot mess. And that's because I didn't have a plan. I didn't know how to plan. I had no systems. I had no idea how to grow a business. And I thought that just by wanting freedom and flexibility, I could leap right in and wing it and grow my business organically. And it was going to be sunshine and rainbows. And what it actually was mountains of credit card debt, stress, self-doubt, and all other things that none of us really want to have in our life or talk about. So because of that journey, I am extremely passionate about helping you wherever you are on your path to creating predictable growth in your business that is not only guaranteed to get you results and enjoy success financially, but that it's also enjoyable and that you don't compromise your time freedom or your ability to enjoy your life or be present with your loved ones as a trade-off for that success, which you deserve. So this is why I spend so much time in the fourth quarter focusing on business planning, because it's not so straightforward to simply say, go ahead and write your goals, write your goals for the next year. The problem with that is that when somebody writes their goals from their head versus their heart, which is distinctly different, is that repetitive? Distinctly different. Anyway, when you write your goals from your head, when you think about what you're going to do next year or what you want to do next year, a lot of times what ends up happening is that you might think a goal into existence and then immediately the other thoughts, the negative thoughts, the limiting beliefs start to drown out what it is that you might really want out of life and business. Okay. And so, for example, I might say, I'd love to double my business next year. And then the voices in my head tell me, well, that's not realistic and that's not practical. And it would be too much of a sacrifice of time because I did X this year and my best month sucked the life out of me. So I don't want to have any big goals because I feel like it'll be too much of a sacrifice, right? And so we talk ourselves out of the destiny that's available to us, which is our true potential. Like so many of us are meant for more. And we have this knowing, this intuition in our heart that we are meant for more or that we're capable of more. And more can mean anything, right? It could be more growth in our business. It could be more time vacationing with our family. There's some longing that we have deep down inside. And as soon as we start to tune into it and try to listen to our intuition, the next thing that happens is that those voices in our head start to drown out that intuition or that wish in our heart. And so the business planning process that I developed many years ago and started teaching in real estate offices and title companies and in the Denver metro area and in Colorado are ultimately designed to work through a process that helps you, first and foremost, shift from that state of mind, that state of limiting belief or overwhelming stress or any of those negative states of mind that hold us back from our true potential and shift us into a place of gratitude, hope, and belief that we can truly create anything we want in this life and that we can design our business to power that lifestyle vision. So there's three pillars of success in my experience. One is the business planning process, which, as I mentioned, evaded me for many, many years. I think it was 6 years that I was 100% commission before I ever did a business plan because I simply didn't believe in the fact that I had any control over my future. I thought that the freedom meant that we just wing it and we just hop on the hamster wheel every day and hope for things to work out, right? So I avoided planning out of just simple fear and self-doubt that I didn't have control over my own outcome, which just simply is not true. The second pillar of success would be business development, which is getting out there and developing relationships that last a lifetime, providing value and seeing your business grow as a mere byproduct of living with an intention to serve and be a resource above and beyond what you get paid to do. And then the third pillar is leveraging systems and tools and amazing people in order to ensure that you can manage and enjoy success at the highest level, and that it doesn't become a trade-off of your energy, your happiness, or your ability to be present with your loved ones in exchange for the success of your business. It's not one or the other, it's both and. Pursuing freedom is all about building a life you don't need a vacation from, which means that you are in control of your financial future as well as the lifestyle that you want to enjoy and experience. So when it comes to business planning season, I like to break it down into three main categories. One is reflection, which is looking back and asking yourself a lot of questions about the relationships in your life, the skills that you've developed, the experiences that you've had, the joys, the things that you want to keep doing, stop doing, start doing. And we're going to dig into that a little bit today. The second category is vision. So once we've done our reflection, we can get more clarity around is setting our goals and the vision for our future anchored in what truly matters to us today in our journey. Because I guarantee you that what mattered to you a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago is different than what matters to you today. Because we are evolving always as human beings. Our priorities change, our lifestyle changes. And so a year from now, what matters to you is going to be different again. And so this process of planning, personally, I do it more than once a year. I do it at least 2 times a year, in the middle of the year and at the end of the year, because I always like to stop and ask myself, how am I doing with the progress on the goals that I've set for myself? Do those goals even matter to me anymore? Are they still relevant? Have they become obsolete? If I've already accomplished it, how did it feel? Would I like to do the same goal again, but with better organization and better control so that I have more joy and more energy? So the reflection process that we're going to dig into today is key. The third category when it comes to planning is the scheduling, which is something I've done another solo cast on, which is somewhat of a dreaded topic when it comes to time blocking and organizing your day in such a way that it guarantees your results. But ultimately, the purpose behind scheduling is to achieve and enjoy the freedom that you're seeking. Because most of us took the risk to go 100% commission because we were seeking some version of freedom and flexibility, either more flexibility with our schedule, more financial freedom, or control over our financial future. But so many of us leap. We leap and we have no safety net because we have no plan, we have no schedule, and we think that winging it's going to be fine. And as a result, we find ourselves stressed. We're either stressed out because the business isn't as busy as we want it to be, or we're stressed out because the business is so busy that we're overwhelmed and we don't have a system in place to organize this and support this level of business. And so we convince ourselves, whether we're stressed at the bottom or we're stressed at the top, a lot of times we find ourselves talking ourselves out of this knowing, this intuition in our heart that we are meant for more, that it could be easier and it could be predictable, and that frankly, it could be more fun. So over the course of the coming weeks, I'm going to be providing as many resources as possible to ensure that you fully understand the power of these concepts as it relates to designing your business to support your lifestyle vision, which means predictable growth, and then a plan for managing that in such a way that you can really enjoy the freedom you've been seeking all along. So this week, I really want to dive into the power of reflection. Now, regardless of what time of year you're listening to this or watching this recording, I hope that you leave this episode absolutely convinced that the very first thing you're going to do tomorrow is pause and do some reflection. Reflection can happen on an annual basis. It can happen biannually, and frankly, it can happen daily and weekly. Did I do what I set out to do today? Was I successful in setting boundaries and honoring them today? Was I successful in tackling all of the most important tasks of my day? How did it feel? What was working for me? When was I at my highest energy? When was I most exhausted or depleted or stressed or low energy? Okay. The power in reflection is, like I said before, is to shift your mindset, your energy, your emotion, and your belief system from the negative into the positive, which ultimately helps to raise your vibration and help you tap into what truly matters in your life today so that you can magnetize the very results that it is you're seeking, so that we can move away from chasing success, from going through the motions, racing on the hamster wheel, checking the boxes, and going through the grind to get to where we're trying to go. And instead, tune into who we are and what our gifts are, what matters to us today, so that we manage ourselves first and foremost, so that we can show up every day as the best version of ourselves. Who do we want to be first and foremost? How do we want to live our lives? How do we want to feel every day in order to determine what exactly we need to do today? So before we worry about what you're going to do to get to where you're trying to go, we need to know where you've been and how it felt and how's that working out for you. So in the business planning workshop that I'll be rolling out here in the next couple weeks, stay tuned and make sure that if you're not already on the email list, that you hop over to pursuingfreedom.com and sign up to receive the newsletters. But the first part of the process is always in reflection. So we're going to talk about this on a macro level and a micro level. From a macro level, as it relates to big goal setting, like looking at your 12-month plan and mapping out where you're going to be a year from now, there's a lot of really specific questions that you can ask yourself, and there's sort of a science behind these questions. So one of the best questions I love from the business planning workshop is, what were the 5 greatest happenings of the last year? So why this is so powerful is that everyone has a relationship with money, and our relationship with money is unique to who we are as individuals. So I'm going to kind of outline this, and I think that you'll know pretty quickly which one you are. So if you have a tangible relationship with money, that means that you have an emotional connection to money. And that means that when you have a big paycheck, you feel a genuine positive emotional response. And when your bank account is empty, you feel a very heavy heart and very high stress. And so the state of your bank account, the growth of your savings, the size of your income has a direct correlation to your emotional well-being. And you are genuinely jazzed and excited by the financial rewards of the business. If you have an intangible relationship with money, you might be someone who thinks to yourself, money's just a means to an end, or I only need so much to get by, or I would be good with X. And there's no right or wrong here, but depending on which you are, that's going to help you set your goals in such a way that they're anchored in what truly matters to you. So what I mean by that is, I know, for example, that I have an intangible relationship with money. I appreciate money, but it's not the goal necessarily. It's the byproduct of living a life of intention to serve and give value and be a resource above and beyond what I get paid to do with my job description. So when I look back on the last year and I look at the 5 greatest happenings of the last year, and if I look back over the many years that I've been doing this process to help me set my goals from the heart versus the head, what's interesting is that the greatest happenings are always experiential. They're always the trips that I took, or the camper we bought, or the month that we spent on the road, or whatever. So that tells me that my goals for the future need to be anchored in the experiences that the money can afford me. That doesn't mean that there's no clarity around the income that I need to make to support the lifestyle I want to have. It just means that if I make my primary goals all around transactions and numbers and income, then I can look at those goals all day long and have no emotional connection to it. If I make my primary goal that I want to spend 2 weeks in Hawaii with my family, there's an emotional response to the enthusiasm that comes from looking forward to an experience like that. And I know what I need to earn in an income to be able to support that lifestyle experience. Okay. So that's one example of how looking back helps you look ahead, so that when you set your goals, they're in alignment with who you are as a human being. The problem in our industry is that so many of us get caught up comparing ourselves with others. So we see somebody else write some comprehensive 15-page business plan, and we think that that's what we should do. And then we do it, and then we put it in a drawer. We never look at it again. The power of the one-page plan is that the major goals in your life, personally and professionally, whether it be the number of massages you want to have in a week, or the number of date night in a week, in a month, or in a year, or the number of dates you want to have with your significant other, or the income you want to make, whatever it is, that those goals are laid out, that they're anchored in your heart, and that they're in front of you every single day. If you're a nerd like me, you print out the one-page plan and laminate it and make it your bookmark in your planner. But the beautiful thing about that is that those goals are always in front of you, which helps you to create the path to turning those goals into reality. And what I found is that by doing the reflection process first and foremost, when I look back on the greatest happenings of the year, when I look back on the relationships in my life, the ones that I've developed or deepened, when I look back on the greatest risks that I've taken or the smartest decisions I've made, what ends up happening is that whatever state of mind I started with has shifted now into a more positive state of mind. In other words, if I told you right now, I want you to sit down and write your goals for the next year. Well, what state of mind are you in? Maybe it's more positive because you're listening to this podcast, but a lot of us sit down to write our goals and we're distracted. We're constantly on the hamster wheel. We're busy, busy, busy. We sit down to write our goals and our brain is preoccupied with the things on our to-do list or the fire that we're putting out or the frustration I have towards that client or that family member or whatever, right? And so we're not in a centered place. And the other problem is that a lot of times we write those goals and we're coming from a place of scarcity or fear or doubt or limiting beliefs. Like we might want to write a goal down and then we second guess it and we make it smaller. And so when you do the reflection process before you do the vision, before you write your goals, you'll start to see that all of a sudden your emotional state shifts. You start to realize, damn, look how far I've come. Or like, wow, that was a pretty good year. And man, we did have some really amazing things happen in the past year. And yes, I am surrounded by love and I have a lot of support and I have amazing people that have my back. And I am capable and I can accomplish anything. And I do have hope for the future. And all of a sudden, those limiting beliefs, those thoughts in our head, the volume gets a little bit lower so that we can hear more clearly what our heart already knows, what's available for us, which is literally anything, absolutely anything. So if we start with reflection, then we move into a vision that's anchored in our heart, then we can create the to-do list, the schedule around what kind of activities need to happen in order to make that future reality. Okay. So if you need support with this, hop over to the pursuingfreedom.com/resources page, and you can access the Set for Success download and a number of other free resources that can help you through this process of getting organized, reflecting, creating a vision that's anchored in your heart, and then ultimately coming up with a game plan to ensure that the outcome matches your heart's desire. And be sure to stay tuned on the training and consulting page for the business planning workshop, which you can download and have access to for eternity so that you too can access the business planning workshop that the Colorado friends have had access to for many years. And be sure to organize your business in such a way that it supports that lifestyle vision and puts you on the path towards truly loving the journey and building a life you don't need a vacation from. As always, I love and appreciate you. And if you're enjoying this content, please connect with me through the website or follow me at Pursuing Freedom Official on Instagram. I always love hearing from you. I always love being a resource, and I look forward to connecting soon. Make it a great day.